Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Well, yesterday I watched a great video from Michael K. Vaughan showing his entire Edgar Rice Burroughs collection, his paperback collection at least, in the stories. He showed all his paperbacks and some special editions. Well, I'm excited to show you mine. My collection after watching that one, but initially I was going to show you all my paperbacks, the Tarzan paperbacks, John Carter paperbacks, the Ace paperbacks, but Michael has already done that on his channel. So what I had in mind is I would show you some of my books that you might not have seen on his channel. Now, booktube isn't a competitive thing. It's more like a layer cake. The more layers you have, the better it tastes. So what I would like you to do when you finish watching my channel, I'm going to put a link to his episode down below or up here somewhere. And once you're done mine, you can go over and watch his if you haven't watched it already. And you should have a nice, couple of hours of just looking at awesome Edgar Rice Burroughs books. Now, I've been collecting Edgar Rice Burroughs all my life, pretty much. I mean, since I was 13, 14 years old. So I've got a bit, but I'm kind of excited to show you the things I do have. Now, what he showed on his channel, he showed you the Ace paperbacks. I have most of these. And he showed you the early Tarzan paperbacks. I think these are Ballantine books. He showed you these, and he showed you the white bordered Tarzans and the black bordered Tarzans. Now these are lovely books. I don't have a complete collection in either printing, but between the three of them, I have all the Tarzan books that Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote, just not in a complete, cohesive collection. But yeah, those were great books, and I'm happy to have them. Here's one here that's kind of interesting. This is called Master of Adventure, and this talks about all the Tarzan books and all the stories that Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote, and conjectures about the origins and the inspirations for the Edgar Rice Burroughs stories from earlier stories that he might possibly have read to inspire his own stories. So that's a cool Frank Frazetta cover, and this is full of artwork by Frank Frazetta, and I do believe I forget who that other artist is, but there's a Frazetta. So this is just a nice book. It comes in different editions, but yeah, happy to have that one. Now, hopefully this video won't take too long. I'll try to go through these real quick because, you guys probably have better things to do than sit forever watching me, pour over these books of mine. These are interesting paperbacks. These are At the Earth's Core editions, but you don't see them around too often. These are Del Rey science fiction versions, and it's not Frazetta, it's not Boris, but these covers are pretty nice actually, and each one kind of has the same kind of template for what goes on inside each edition, each story, and they're nice to have. They're in perfect condition. I've had these on my shelf forever. Here's Tanner of Pellucidar with the story featured the pirates that sailed the seas of Pellucidar, so that's one of the pirates on the cover. The Corsairs, I think they were called in the story. Here we have The Land of Terror. And they're just lovely covers. They're really well done covers. This is Back to the Stone Age. And here's Savage Pellucidar with Abner Perry there on the cover. Very cool. Now these next two, I only have two of these. They're UK editions of not very well known Edgar Rice Burroughs stories. We have The Land of Hidden Men, and these are tandem paperbacks, I do believe. you know, they're kind of weird covers, but they're kind of appealing in their own way. I mean, it's, of course, the UK editions are a little wider. They don't really fit on my shelf as well as the American paperbacks, but I'm still kind of happy to have these. This one's The Lost Continent, and they're kind of unique. You don't see them around too often. So let's get into the Tarzan paperbacks that you haven't seen already on Michael's channel. I want to show you different ones. Here we have a TV tie-in edition, The Return of Tarzan, and there's Ron Ely on the cover as Tarzan. See the CBC network program Tarzan Saturday nights. And I don't know if they had the complete series as TV tie-ins, you know, with photo covers. I'm not too sure. I should have probably looked into it, but this is the only one I have, and it's possible they only did a few of them. But yeah, that's a cool book to have. Now, this one isn't necessarily Edgar Rice Burroughs, but this was an official Tarzan number 25, and this is Tarzan and the Valley of Gold, written by Fritz Leiber. And the movie was very kitschy. It came out in the when Bond-Mania was happening. So, you know, at the beginning they had John Clayton dressed in a gray suit and tie, looking a little bit like James Bond, doing James Bond stuff. And it was actually a pretty good movie. I mean, any movie that portrays Tarzan as an intelligent Tarzan and not the me Tarzan, you Jane kind of thing, I'm always up for that, and it's always a good thing. So that's a good book to have. I mean, I've had this for years. It took me a while to find this one, because it wasn't made immediately available. But yeah, written by Fritz Leiber. So that was very cool to have. Now, these next Tarzans, again, I think they're UK editions by Flamingo Books. I have the first 4. And these are Bern Hogarth covers. So there's Tarzan of the Apes. And then we have The Return of Tarzan. And they're just nice looking paperback versions. I really like these. And again, I'm not sure if they had all 24 in these editions or not. I'm not too sure, but I've got the first 4. There's The Beasts of Tarzan, and The Son of Tarzan. And I love this Tarzan font, man. That's so great. And these are just nice books. I really like those. Now, these next ones, again, not Edgar Rice Burroughs, but I thought I'd include them in the video here. I thought I had more than 5. Maybe there was only 5. I've forgotten now. But these were bootleg, like pastiches, written by someone named Barton Werper. And anybody who's read the books knows that Barton Werper is a character's name in one of the Tarzan books, bad guy. But yeah, these are not very well written, and passages were just kind of taken right out of the Edgar Rice Burroughs books and put into these. But this one I had to have them. You know, me being me, I tracked them down. I had to have them on my shelf. So this is Tarzan and the Silver Globe. And in these, he goes up against like aliens and the abominable snowman and all kinds of crazy creatures. Here's Tarzan in the Cave City. And these were out for a very short time, because once Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated got wind of these being out there, they were put a stop to very quickly. So this is Tarzan and the Snake People. And they're kind of fun and kitschy in their own way, you know. Goes up against snake people. How about that? And here we go, Tarzan and the Abominable Snowman. Then the covers are kitschy too. The covers are kind of cool. So he's on an expedition in the Kilimanjaro to look for the Abominable Snowman. So there you go. And this is the last one I have, is Tarzan and the Winged Invaders. Involves voodoo and mutants and Yeah, so those are cool. I'm happy to have those. What can we get into now? Let's get into some of these Whitman books. These are abridged, like shortened, edited versions of the original stories, but these are for kids. This is Tarzan of the Apes in one of these hardcover Whitman volumes, and these are nice to have. I really like these, actually, and they've got artwork inside. But anyway, they're very cool to have. And we have Tarzan and the City of Gold. Nice wraparound artwork. And again, you've got art for the end papers there. And there's art throughout. And that's nice to have. I'd like to have more of them, but I only have those two in those Whitman versions. But I have another Whitman one that isn't by Edgar Rice Burroughs. It's an adaptation of one of the movies, one of the old Gordon Scott Tarzan movies. This is Tarzan and the Lost Safari. Again, wraparound artwork. And, you didn't get a lot of original prose Tarzan stories back in the day, so this was kind of nice to have. There's the frontispiece. I think one of the pages were missing there, so that's the entire end paper right there. And again, there's artwork throughout. So those are cool to have up on the shelf. Now, this isn't a Whitman, but this is an old hardcover, The Return of Tarzan, published by Grosset and Dunlap. And that's a nice cover. And, there's a picture of my grandfather in there. Yeah, here's the end paper here, map of Africa, which is very cool to have. Nice old book. I don't think there's artwork in these ones. No, this is just the book itself, but that's nice to have. And here we have a volume that has both its facsimile of the original Tarzan book, well, the cover is, but it's got both Tarzan of the Apes and The Return of Tarzan in here. So it kind of, because Tarzan of the Apes, bit of a cliffhanger, and the story continued in The Return of Tarzan, so it's nice to have those two in a nice hardback volume like this. Happy to have that. And then we have a hardcover from Avenel Press, Tarzan of the Apes, 4 volumes in one, so it has Tarzan of the Apes, The Son of Tarzan, Tarzan at You're the Score, and Tarzan Triumphant. And it's got this beautiful J. Allen St. John artwork, which goes around the whole book. This one here, we have the Science Fiction Classics by Edgar Rice Burroughs. And this includes Pellucidar, Thuvia, Maid of Mars, Tanner of Pellucidar, The Chessmen of Mars, and The Mastermind of Mars. Just a nice hardcover from Castle Books. And this one should have artwork in it that I can show you. Now, it's a little dark, but yeah, I think that's J. Allen St. John, who was a great artist of, here we go. There's a pen and ink drawing from The Mastermind of Mars. Great book. Now we get some more hardcovers here. These are the book club editions. We have The Land That Time Forgot. That is probably one of the movie posters, but not the good movie poster. I think Michael showed that on one of his paperback volumes. I have that on the shelf behind me, but I won't show it to you again. I don't want to rehash what he's already done. Like I said, if you want to check those out, go and check his channel out after watching this one, but that's still a very cool cover. I like that. Such a great book too. And this includes the entire trilogy, The Land That Time Forgot, The People That Time Forgot, and Out of Time's Abyss, all in that one volume, which is very cool. Now, we get into the John Carter books, the book club editions. Frank Frazetta was commissioned specifically to do covers for these science fiction book club hardcover editions. So here we have A Princess of Mars, that beautiful iconic cover, one of my favorite books right here. That's a pleasure to have. And then we have, continues in The Gods of Mars and The Warlord of Mars, and that wraparound. Just lovely, beautiful, beautiful artwork that he did for these. And I think you're only going to find them on these books, if I remember correctly. This one's a little ripped up. This is The Swords of Mars and Synthetic Men of Mars. It's got this big rip on the cover. I'm going to have to repair it somehow or other. But yeah, there's John Carter right there. Lovely Frazetta cover. And then finally I have Thuvia Maid of Mars and the Chessmen of Mars. And this awesome cover. Wrap around. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? What a great book. What a great artwork right there. Great piece of art. So that's those book club editions. Now, we're going to show you some. I have a few different editions of John Carter Mars. So here we have the Harper Collins cover for John Carter Mars, and of course it includes the trilogy, the three of them. Now, if that's all Burroughs had ever wrote for John Carter, like the original trilogy, it would still go down in history as one of the greatest science fiction series of all time. Such an inspiration for so many things that came after. But that's just a nice, nice thick volume. Feels good in your hand. And then we have these three trade paperbacks. Came out quite a while ago. These are from Fall River Press. And the artist is Kikai Kotaki is the artist for these three books. So that's a scary looking Thark right there. So that's A Princess of Mars. And here we have The Gods of Mars. Same artist on all three. And here we have The Warlord of Mars. So they're just nice volumes to have. Have the trilogy. I'll put them up here. And this one, so this is the, when the Disney movie came out, this is the book that they released. Now this has the original Princess of Mars and the adaptation in the back half of the movie. Now I don't know why you would have had to write an adaptation of the movie when basically the original story and trilogy is the template for the movie anyway. I just would have released those three volumes with some kind of movie tie-in cover, but this is what they did. And Disney, they botched it like they do everything else. They just named the movie John Carter instead of naming it like A Princess of Mars or John Carter of Mars, so people who didn't know the character, didn't know the stories, wouldn't know what the hell this was all about. I to this day, I don't know why they didn't put Mars in the title somewhere or other somehow. Even Under the Moons of Mars would have been better than John Carter. But anyway, I have my issues with the movie. That movie's been trying to be made since like the 1930s. And I remember going to the theater and watching it and being disappointed in it. But then again, that could have been because I had such high expectations for it that it was bound to let me down. And I have it around here on Blu-ray somewhere, and I should actually give it a second shot, watch it again. But I just haven't been able to do it. But for what it was, I think it was probably okay. And I should rewatch it. But then again, you've got this great character, Dejah Thoris, who's one of the great female characters of science fiction and fantasy literature. Yeah, you damn well better do her right. And they kind of dropped the ball. with the interpretation of Dejathoris in this movie. So, as I said, I've got issues with it. Maybe I should give it another chance. But anyway, I've got this big book to go with it, which is kind of cool to have, you know. And it is what it is. Now, let's see. What can we get into now? We're almost there. I've got non-Burroughs stuff. Now, it's just going to be ephemera now, pretty much. You know, I've got these 3 volumes of the DC Comics Joe Kubert Tarzan from published by Dark Horse Comics. This is volume 1, and it's got just great. These were great stories, you know, with great artwork. Joe Kubert is just one of the masters of comic book art, and him on Tarzan, you just can't go wrong. There's the cover for volume 2. Happy that I got these because I've never seen them anywhere else. I've never really seen a good reprint of these stories, of these Joe Kubert stories. I mean, yeah, just fantastic. And here is volume 3. Absolutely beautiful artwork. Here we have an old Tarzan annual. You used to get these back in the day, and they'd have stories. They'd have stories and little, you know, comics, reprint comics. There's some Russ Manning artwork there, and it's just kind of a cool thing to have. You know, it was made for kids, but I'm happy to have it. I'm a big kid at heart. And here we have the Bern Hogarth adaptation of Tarzan of the Apes. Bern Hogarth was the artist that worked on the comic strip back in the day. So he just went all out, and he did an adaptation of the original story with his beautiful, lush artwork. Just fantastic. And I found this used, obviously, looking at it years and years ago, but happy to have it on my shelf. Now, these next 2, we have some short stories based on Burroughs' universe. Here we go. Under the Moons of Mars, New Adventures of Barsoom, and with that lovely cover. And it's got stories in here from Joe R. Lansdale, any I know here, L.E. Modesta Jr., Garth Nix, Chris Claremont did a story in here, and each story has its own bit of artwork for it. It's kind of, you know, comic book artwork, but that was a nice book to find. Nice little hardcover. It's very light. It's not too heavy, but you know, you don't see that around much anymore. And this one, a nice trade paperback, The Worlds of Edgar Rice Burroughs. And it's not just, you know, doing John Carter stories, but it's got stories with Tarzan and I think Carson of Venus. There's a story in here called Moon Maid over Manhattan. 2 of the Mucker stories from the Mucker and the Return of the Mucker. You know, a Pellucidar story, Scorpion Men of Venus. Yeah, Tarzan Visits the Land That Time Forgot. That's a Joe R. Lansdale story. And that's just the coolest cover ever. Look at that. That's awesome. Yeah, and there's Tarzan on the back. So that's a neat book to have. Now, the last 2, if I'm not running out of time here, I have this wonderful hardcover of the Russ Manning, the dailies, the complete Russ Manning newspaper strips, volume 4 from 1974 to 1979. Now, as a kid, Russ Manning was never my favorite Tarzan artist, but as I've gotten older, I've really come to appreciate his artwork and how beautiful it really is. I mean, he didn't have the roughness of Hal Foster or, you know, the lushness of Bern Hogarth, but it was pretty good. Pretty good stuff, you know, and it's just a beautiful deluxe hardcover. I wish I had more of these, but I only have this one. I think I got it at a comic convention on sale years ago, but yeah, beautiful, just beautiful artwork. And Russ Manning, as I said, I've really come to appreciate his artwork as I've gotten older. Just beautiful, and that's such a great book to have. Beautiful. you know, but they're expensive. And this last one, if you're a Tarzan fan, you'll want to pick up Tarzan, the Centennial Celebration. A big, big book. And again, I got this at a comic convention years ago. You know, and it goes through all the art. Like, it'll take Tarzan at Yours Core, for instance, and it'll show you all the covers that there have been for Tarzan at Yours Core. See if I can find that particular one. Okay, let's do Tarzan and the Lost Empire. So they'll do the comic covers, artwork, you know, and the artwork that was on the paperback, the latest paperback, and then it shows the early paperback artwork and the pulp cover artwork. So it's you know, if you're a Tarzan fan, it's a great book to have, and it's just lovely to just pick up and just peruse through it. And yeah, lovely stuff. And I know I've got more stuff on my shelves, and I've got all my paperbacks back here. But as I said, you know, finish watching this one, and I'll link Michael K. Vaughan's video down below, and then you can go watch his, and you can just sit and have a lovely hour or two afternoon just looking at these wonderful Edgar Rice Burroughs books. And I'm so happy I was able to show them to you, because you know, it's exciting. This stuff's exciting. It's been a lifelong love and lifelong ambition and of collecting. So yeah, anyway, that's all for now. And I will talk to you guys soon. Check out Michael's video down below. Take care and keep reading.